All right, so we can praise and esteem and honor to the Most High Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures for any of you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you. Hey, Muffin, turn around, because you ain't listening with your back turned. Search the scriptures for any of you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another and seek not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you, Abba. There is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Shalom, man. And y'all children making too much noise. It's not playtime. This ain't talk time. Sit down and be quiet. First Timothy chapter 3 and verse 14. He said, these things write I unto you, hoping to come unto you shortly. Sit down. Because if you're going to sit over here, you're going to act right. Boy, I'm not going to play with you. I'm not going to play with you. These things write unto you, hoping to come unto you shortly. But if I tarry long, that you may know how to ought, that you may know how you ought to behave yourself in the house of Elohim, which is the house of the living Elohim, the pillar and the ground of the truth. Hey, be quiet. Sit down and be quiet. Go find yourself somewhere to sit down at. I'm talking to you, and you know it. Both of you. Ain't nobody playing with you. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. Elohim was manifested in the flesh, justified in the Ruach, seen in Malachim, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, and received up into esteem. So, of course, y'all know the Day of Atonement is about reconciliation. But, of course, we're not dealing with that tonight. At least not primarily. I need y'all to come to 1 Samuel chapter 8. You can pick that up in verse 4. Well, you can pick it up in verse 1. That's fine. 1 Samuel 8 and 1. It came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his son judges over Yasharal. The name of the firstborn was Joel, and the name of the second was Abiah, and they were judges in Beersheba. His sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre and took bribes and perverted judgment. And of course, you know, we done talked about that type of stuff before. You know, Peter let you know you can't be around here taking filthy, doing things for filthy lucre. And that's for the very, very reason why, because people pervert judgment. See, and you can see that just in the natural world, that people will corrupt many, many things of what's right and what's wrong for a paycheck. See, now I'm mentioning this here because you see everybody going crazy. Now, I'm not going to mention on camera what my tax bill was, but I know this here, though. If you own your own business, you shouldn't be paying that much taxes. What that is it's just showing you how people can give money to pervert judgment in regards to making you believe that someone has done something wrong because they haven't paid taxes for 10 or 15 years because you'd have done it. You know what I'm saying? You can't get upset with people because you'd have done it. Because you feel like somebody got more than you, that they should give you a larger portion of their share. See, this is what ends up doing is that enables you to be a lazy, sorry, pocket-watching bastard. Which is why that's why a person like Al Sharpton has a lane, or why Jesse Jackson at one time had a lane, or Benjamin Crump currently has a lane, because they will pervert judgment for filthy lucre's sake. Now, of course, these men don't preach no word. According to what he say, Al Sharpton is supposed to be a preacher, but I've never known him to preach anywhere at any time in his life. Also, you know the book tell you about bribes. What the book tell you about bribes, Michael? You know what the book tell you about bribes? I know you don't because you're not listening. That's why I asked you that. Because since you wanted to sit right here, boy, you going to listen. So you ain't going to sit around looking crazy. Don't look crazy now. Because you had 1,000,001 questions to ask me before I began. So you're going to listen today. So you didn't get cut no slack. See you right here in my arena. See you right here in my dugout. So since you want to sit here on the bench, you're going to get coached. You cool with that? You ain't got no choice. But who knows what the law say about Shalom, man, about taking bribes? Well, not bribes, I should say, gifts. I said it'll blind your eyes. You know what I'm saying? And pervert the words of the wise. See, a lot of individuals will go ahead and pervert judgment because they want that bread. Now, you can sit back and you can see that these men, word-wise, were willing to pervert judgment for some money. You have to be careful of that. A lot of dudes that take bribes, boy, they'll be able to tell people whatever people want to hear. Let's continue. Oh, I'm not. Then all the elders of Yasharal gathered themselves together and came to Samuel under Ramah and said unto him, Behold, you are old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. I want you to look at rejected. It is mas. It is to reject. It is to despise, and it is to refuse. You have meme, aleph, and samach, and you can go ahead and make that do what it do. Malik, go find your mom. Go find your mom. Because you're not coming over here with all that, boy. Hello. Are you okay? Are you okay? Michael, is he bothering you? No. Very well. Meme, aleph, and samach. Word means to reject, to refuse, to despise. Say it with me, Leah. Mas.
Mas.
Say it with me, Michael. Mas.
Mas.
Renee, say it with me. I want you to say mean.
Mean.
What does it mean?
Mean.
It means water.
Mean.
Chaos.
Chaos. Olive.
To be high. That's the other one that starts with an A. Say leader.
Leader.
Ox.
Ox.
Strength. And then you have Samach. So that's how you spell Mas. What does Mas mean? It means to reject, despise, like you reject following instructions. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Going once? Twice? Well, I gave you this here, right? They questioned the strength of eternity. Because remember, they rejected Elohim, which means they questioned him. Now we're going to look at something else in this regard. We're going to keep on rolling down. Because I won't break it up. I do it all at the same time. Verse 8. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto you. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. Now we have protest. It is ood. Say it with me, children. Ood. It means to witness, admonish, warn, to protest. Say it with me, children. I-E, ood, dalit. What does I-E mean, Renee? Very good. What does ood mean, Michael? Well, you need to remember. What does ood mean? Hey, boy, be quiet. Guess what magic means? You know once you sit down, you're not getting up again, right? You know that, right? As long as you know. What does ood mean? Yes, Renee. Punch? No, it means nail. What does dalit mean, Renee? That's right. What does dalit mean?
Door.
What does dalit mean? What does dalit mean, sir?
Door.
All right then. Y'all got I-E, oo, and dalit. Go ahead. It's I. That's right. It's I. Do you have eyes? Where?
On the sides of your nose.
Oh, they're adjacent to your nose?
What is adjacent?
It means to the side. Anybody else? What you got for me, Bird? You got compound words?
Oh, I had that in school.
What's a compound word, Bird?
You put them together.
Oh, you eat vegetables? That's a compound word? It's good enough for me. Very good, Bird.
Compound word is what you put together. That's what my teacher said.
Anybody else? Going once? Twice? To the who? Yeah, that's cool, huh? I just got sacrificed for what you got. Now remember this here, right? They've questioned the strength of eternity. He's told Samuel to protest that they might know that the word has secured a particular sacrifice. Now, in that regard, this rejection and testimony, how does this relate to Mashiach? Now, let me ask you this question. And Samuel, who is getting rejected here? Huh? No, no. 1 Samuel chapter 8, who's being rejected? Yahuwah is being rejected. So Elohim would be being rejected. We're dealing with Yahuwah and Yahushua being one and the same. So that means you're going to have to ascertain when was Yahushua rejected by Yasharal for being their king. Because remember, the whole book is about him, is it not? So that means if these people have rejected Yahuwah for being king, that means they would have to do the same thing to Mashiach, will they not? So that means that we have to identify when they rejected him and who protested against them solemnly for them rejecting him. Well, there we go. Come over here to John chapter 18, I believe. It might be 19. Matter of fact, before we read that, come to Matthew 19 and pick it up at verse 22. That ain't what I want. It's Luke 19, I believe. I think that is the wrong spot for me. Little Joe, cut it out, boy. Cut it out, boy. Luke chapter 19. We ain't gonna read all of it. Verse 19 is fine. Luke 19 and 19. You reading, Muffin Man? 19 and 19. And he said likewise to him, be you also over 5 cities. Another came saying, Lord, behold, here is your pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I feared you, because you are an austere man, that you take up that you lay not down, and reap what you did not sow. He said unto him, out of your own mouth will I judge you, you wicked servant. You knew I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore then gave you not my money in the bank, that at my coming I might have required my own with usury. He said unto me, that you to them that stood by, take from him the pound and give to him that have 10 pounds. Let him go to his mama. Let him go to his mama, because he can't be over here with that. Pick him up, take him with you. Away from it. But those my enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. Now, he makes a statement here in Luke chapter 19 about anybody who has something is going to be taken from them. Y'all knows how that relates to something in 1 Samuel chapter 8. We haven't read it, but I'm going to see if you recall. And if you don't recall, that means you got an opportunity to go scour through 1 Samuel 8 and see for yourself. He said, anybody who had something, he said, even what you have, he going to take it from you. There's a similitude of that in 1 Samuel chapter 8. Go ahead and take a stroll through the chapter. Tell me what you see. That's one of the things he said he'll do. What else did he say? He'd take your daughters to be cooks, make them bakers and confectionaries. Got to be, it's an example of something in Luke chapter 19. Oh, what is it? See, I'm not going to try to yell over them. There's something in Luke chapter 19 that relates to something in 1 Samuel chapter 8. In regards to if you have something, that Elohim will take it away from you, and that those that refuse to allow him to reign over them, he will slay them. They take your sons from you. Gonna make them run before chariots. He gonna take you and make you serve. Hard service too, because that's what you asked for. Let's continue. Let's go to John chapter 19 right now. John chapter 19, you could pick it up at verse 1 if you would. We're going to take it apart of where they get rejected. He gets rejected. We're going to get in the part of them dealing with that testimony. Because at the end of the day, who else can see? Matter of fact, pause. Come to Deuteronomy 17. We'll come right back to John 19. Come to Deuteronomy 17. And I'm looking at Deuteronomy 17 for a reason. And maybe not for the average rule reason for looking at it. I'm looking at it for a reason. Deuteronomy 17 and verse 14. Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 14. Say I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot. And when you are coming to the land which Yahuwah your Elohim give you, and you shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. You shall anywise set him king over you, whom Yahuwah your Elohim shall choose. So notice this key point. You'll never choose the king who get to rule over you. You know what I'm saying? That will never happen. That has never occurred in the history of Yasharal. See, in this time period, a lot of dudes want to set themselves up to be this and to be that. But at the end of the day, there can be no man who can be a Malik over the house of Yasharal. Who your Elohim must choose him. That's how that goes. That's how that works. He say, one from among your brethren shall you set king over you. You may not set a stranger over you, which is not your brother. See, now let's pause. We've been talking about Mashiach being a brother. So in the text, specifically in the epistle letters, where is your verification for this? Got about 3, 4. You could get it. You could get it out the gospel too. You got about 3, 4 places for it. Anybody got any ideas? No, not on that one else. Not on that one else. He said, he got to be one of your brethren. So you're gonna have to pinpoint this man is your brethren, and you're gonna have to pinpoint, which should be quite easy. Did Yahuwah your Elohim choose him to be king to reign over you? See, of course, you know that our people violated this, and what you're going to read by saying that Caesar was their king. By setting up a stranger, which y'all know that's a Jose, and we don't have to go read all of that. But what I want you to be able to ascertain, he said that it's someone who Yahuwah has chosen who is of your brethren. So we need to ascertain him being your brother. How is he your brother? And then he said, your brother, this is according to the flesh. I mean, you could use that if you will. Anybody in the back or in the front? Anybody on the stream? What you say? Oh, if y'all saying something, y'all got to speak up because I cannot hear you. Anybody in the back? Anybody in the front? Well, let's just look at it in this regard. Let's go to Matthew chapter 1. You can make it 1 and 1. After Matthew chapter 1, you can get Hebrews chapter 2. For Hebrews chapter 2, you get Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1, you can get 1 Chronicles chapter 5. Matthew chapter 1 and 1. This is the book of the genealogy of Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judah and his brethren. Now we're not going to run all that down, but it mentioned what seed he come from, correct? 1 Chronicles chapter 5 right now. Let me just go and do that right now. Now, of course, what was the genealogy of Matthew for? Oh, that's Luke. That links him to David, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and for the redemption of the covenant of which he swore to Abraham. 1 Chronicles chapter 5 and verse 1. Said, now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Yasharal, but he was the firstborn, for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph, the son of Yasharal. The genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright, for Yehuda prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler, of the birthrights was Joseph. So remember, right, he has to be of your brethren, whom Yahuwah, your Elohim, has chosen. The ruler comes from Yehuda because they have prevailed. I think you need to come to Psalms chapter 60 for that. Come over here to Psalms chapter 60. I'm just doing that to make this clear that you understand that thoroughly. If you happen to have forgotten, or if you just don't know. I want you to come over here to Psalm chapter 60. I want you to pick it up at verse 4. From Psalm 60, you can go to Isaiah chapter 33. You can pick Isaiah 33 up at about verse 18. Psalm 60 and 4. Now remember what we're talking about right now. We're talking about that these people rejected Elohim, just like they rejected Mashiach, because what did it tell you, right? He came into his own, and his own received him not. You know that Yahuwah said that I set my love upon you, that you should become a, hey boy, go on over there with that, because that's what you're not going to do. And so and then of course we have to look at that in regards of Mashiach, because again we're dealing with that Yahuwah and Yahushua are one and the same. I know a lot of people may have a problem with that. That's none of my concern. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the text has got to be fulfilled. Yes, what can I do for you, Renee? And the text is going to be fulfilled. Psalm 60:4. You have given a banner to them that fear you, that it may be displayed because of the truth. What does a banner mean? What is that? What is that Hebrew word for banner defined to? If anybody knows, off the top of their head. It's a sign. It's an ensign. Let's take a look at the word itself. Let you cycle through it. Let you consider. Remember, it's Nas, right? You remember that? Something that you lift up, a standard, a signal, an ensign, a rallying point. You got Nun and Samah. So what is that simply telling you? You better grab hold of life. Remember, it says this is a banner to them that fear you. So this is something, those that fear you, lift this up, that it might be displayed because of the Amah. Now let's look. Well, this one here don't have Amah, it has Kashat. So we want to look at displayed. Now it's noose, and this means to escape, to take flight. You got Nun, U, and Samah. So now you grab hold and you secured life, because what have you done? You flee. What have you fleed from? What did Peter tell you to do? By the gospel of Yahushua, to flee from this untoward generation, to save yourself. You know, Brother Tony was talking about this here, about the difference in Australia and here, because he was like, he finds it amazing that people over here talk so much about celebrities, and like it's just probably different in Australia. Because they push that here. They push it heavily. They probably don't have television shows in Australia dedicated strictly to celebrities. But they have several here. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's on cable or regular television. You can get on podcasts for it. You got many blog sites for it. You have many things for that. Now, y'all should know, what is the rhyme, reason, and purpose of all that pushing of celebrities over here? Try to live through them, idol worship, aspire for a lifestyle that you can never attain. But number one thing above all is the number one means of performing witchcraft, which is really like when you talking about live through them, seduce you through spells and bewitching and enchantments to walk down the pathway that is contrary to the way of salvation. You know what I'm saying? They may do that differently in Australia. I can't speak on it. He lives there. I don't. But I know what they do here. Because he was like, how can anybody know about who Meg Thee Stallion is? You would have to completely be absent from all forms of media to not be aware, if you're black, who she is. You may not know her music, but you would have heard her name. You would have seen her face, because you know other black people. You don't like to see. He was like, I don't even know what WAP is. I've never heard the song. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I don't have a desire to hear the song. I know if people still listen to the radio like they did in my youth, I probably would have heard it by now. But see, thank the Lord, you don't have to listen to the radio anymore. Because I know they probably play that song on the radio every other minute. And what is the purpose of playing? We never realized till we got older what was the purpose of why they play the same songs all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it's to place a particular type of thought pattern in your head. I bet when that hoe had that song, Eat Booty Like Groceries, I bet they played that on the radio every other minute. To the point where it got people feeling like this is what I want to do. I know they play Geeked Up on the radio every other minute. Now you want to be a junkie. Now they always say, well, they don't do that for white people. See, you stupid, because you don't listen to white music. They do it for them too. It's just their music is different. They program them and they frame their mind in a different way. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to come to them with what goes on and allegedly in a lot of low income areas, because that's not going to appeal to them. Because if niggas listen to heavy metal music, they hit them straight off with satanic themes in it. I'm straight off with it. These boys in there talking about getting high. And look at right Under the Bridge, right, by Red Hot Chili Peppers, is a song about getting high on heroin. You know, that song Under the Bridge is literally about shooting up heroin. That's not going to appeal to us. You know what I'm saying? But that's going to appeal to who's listening to his music. He actually made a song called Californication. That's about how these people manipulate the minds of the listener or the viewer of television and movies. Even like they said, they got it. Like they said, you never see a whole bunch of white people walking around talking about Wakanda forever, but they train them in a different fashion. Because they definitely trained them with Paris Hilton and whoever that other hoe was running with her. At one particular point in time, they trained them with Britney Spears. They train them any way they want. That's how these people operate. It's witchcraft. Witchcraft is different. You can't use the same schemes on somebody in another section of the world because that's not going to appeal to them. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't already discuss that in Europe. You know that they're far more risque on television than they are over here. You know, they have soft porn on regular in the middle of the day TV. But Psalm 60, right? 60 and 5. Listen what he said, that my beloved may be delivered, save with your right hand and hear me. Now, we just want to talk about love because he said that his beloved might be delivered. Those who lifted up the banner, they will flee because of the face of the truth. Remember Cochette? That's Kuf, Sean, and Ted. So you see how the light will secure you and allow you to be contained with Elohim, or have the light contained and secured inside of you, or just have everlasting life inside of you, because that's balanced verity. That's an evenly weighed truth. He says that your beloved may be delivered. Let's look at beloved. You did, right? One beloved, well loved ones. You got 2 yards and $2, and you can proceed. You got 2 yards and $2. Are you okay? Say it with me, children. Yard.
Yard.
Dalit.
Dalit.
Yard.
Yard.
Dalit.
Dalit.
You're dead.
You did.
It means beloved.
Yeah.
What does yard mean, Leah? Right hand. What does Dalit mean, Renee? What does yard mean, Michael?
Dollar.
What does yard mean, Michael?
Dollar.
What does yard mean, Michael?
Left. Oh yeah, right.
Correct. What does Dalit mean, Michael? What does Dalit mean, son? What does Dalit mean?
I know.
What does it mean, son? It means doors.
I know what it was.
What's that?
Door.
So what y'all got for me? Double yard, double Dalit. Right hand was hung and gives you entrance. And that's what make you beloved. Then we read this the other day, what manner of love has the Father bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of Elohim. Then on top of this here, how did he describe Yahushua when he transfigured on the mount? What was said to him? Or what was said to, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Now remember, right, that he's given a word or a banner for those who have grabbed held to life to lift up, that they might be able to flee because of the truth. You flee from the face. What are you fleeing from the face of? The face of the serpent, the face of death, because of Mashiach. Let's continue. Elohim has spoken in his Kadash, I will rejoice. I will divide Sechem and mete out the valley of Succoth. Gilead is mine, Manasseh is mine. Ephraim also is the strength of my head, and Yehuda is my lawgiver. Now, of course, we know Yehuda ain't gave no law, did it? But yet this is how it's described. Let's revisit the word for lawgiver to jog your memory. But if find somewhere to sit down, please. Y'all remember his kakak? Something that is inscribed, one who decrees, a lawgiver. You got cot and 2 coops. You can come to Isaiah 33 while you're thinking on that. Cot and 2 coops. 33 and 15, if you would. Isaiah 33 and 15. Good, man. Verse 14. Hey, go see what your mom. Because you're playing too much. You say the sinners, this is Isaiah 33 and 14. The sinners in Zion are afraid. Filthiness has surprised the hypocrites. Who among us to dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? He that walk righteously and speak uprightly, he that despise the gain of oppressions, that shake his hand from holding a bribe, that stop his ear from the hearing of blood, and shut his eyes from seeing evil. He shall dwell on high, in his place of defense shall be the munition of rocks. Bread shall be given him, for his waters shall be sure. Your eyes shall see the king in his beauty, and you shall behold the land that is very far off. Now see, let's pause for a second, right? Now notice he said that he that walk righteously. Now, of course, it's the Day of Atonement. Monkey, you know what the Day of Atonement is? You can't recall it, that nigga ain't take. No. Okay, I'm just making sure you do what. Straight up, I did it though. So don't you wish that evil on me? Well, what is it? Sounds like he's gonna sell me a bunch of monkey crap. Oh, nobody help. What about you, Michael? You know what this is?
I'm not gonna lie. I need a refresher. I didn't know what I was doing for the day. But as far as like the background information on the actual holiday, I would need to
See that actually she ain't played okay like you did. Now you over there cheating. Water. Well, we got some stuff to deal with that in that regard anyway. So it will be manifested shortly. But let's continue. Now, what's the only thing? What has to occur for you to see your king in his beauty? What would have to have occurred for you in order for that to come to pass? No. What has to occur for you to see the king in his beauty? You must die. And if you die, well, what has occurred for you? If you've got the Ruach, what has occurred for you? If you're born again, what has occurred for you? No, I can't. Resurrect? No, that's the, but one thing has to happen for all those things to come to pass. Your sins have to be remitted. They have to be purged in order for you to be reconciled. What did Paul say? What did Paul say? We have the gospel of reconciliation. So basically, he said we have a gospel of atonement. See, pause. Come over here and look at that real quick. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. So basically, every time the gospel is preached, you would literally be participating in the Day of Atonement in a literal sense. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, pick it up at verse 17. Second Corinthians 5 and 17. Therefore, if any man be in Mashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. And all things are of Elohim, who have reconciled us to himself by Yahushua HaMashiach, and have given to us the ministry of reconciliation. Now see, this is the pause again. Now this is the Father who has reconciled or purged our sins by his Son in order for us to return to him. Going back to what we ended with last week on that, you'll see Elohim's face and there'll be no more curse, and his name will be in your forehead. Notice that's the only time where it say that with Elohim that his name will be in your forehead. You will actually know it. It will be in your heart. Now pause. In the book of Revelation with Mashiach, when it said he get a new name, how did it describe how his new name would be given? Oh no, he said he'll give you a name written in the white stone that's just for you. Just for you. Say he'll give you a name that no man knows but you. That'd be your name. You want your name to stay Leah? The Lord might change your name. Is that okay with you? It should be.
Me too. Me too.
Uh-huh.
They say the name is in the book. It's going to be according to him.
No, I'll read you what I'm talking about. Come to Revelation chapter 2, verse 17. You can pick it up at verse 16. So you don't want the Lord to change your name? Why not? Why, you like your name? Oh, he has a name better than your name. Well, you're not. Well, if you want to keep your name, then you're going to go to hell. So you would rather him change your name so you can be with him. Well, you'd have to talk to him about that. But at the rate you're going, you're not going to find out. Because you don't like to listen and follow instructions. We're just going to take that might just be childlike rebellion and let you grow out of that. Because you don't like to listen, do you? Oh yes, if you keep disobeying, yes you will. Oh yes. I mean, why do you think that you have to scrub floors and get spankings from time to time? There's consequences when you don't obey, son. You can't disobey, and then that's just in life, period. You cannot disobey and don't think that you're not going to get consequences. There's consequences for your actions. So you have to take responsibility for that when it comes. See all that crying you doing, see the Lord don't see the same way your mom and your daddy don't care about that crying when they tell you stand in the corner. You sure ain't gonna care about that crying when they tell you go ahead and get in the lake where the worm dies not and the fire shall not be quenched. She's not gonna care. You can cry all them crocodile tears, you can ball your face up, where the hell you going? Same way to that corner you go. So it would pay for you to start being an obedient child. But certainly the Lord is displeased because you consistently refuse to obey the instructions of your mother and your father. And I don't like it. You think I just ask you what? Have you behaved every time I see you because I just like asking you this? Huh? I ask you that because you ought to do better and you're capable of doing better, but yet you refuse. You're almost 8 years old. You're not a baby. You're not even a toddler. You're about to become a young man. You're going to start growing pubic hair across your body and your shoulders going to start broadening and your voice going to get deep. Then you're going to be a man. A man who don't listen. You know what they call a man who don't listen? They call him Nabal. Because folly is his name and folly is with him. You want to be called Nabal? I hope not. Revelation chapter 2, verse 16. Repent, or else I will come unto you quickly, and I will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the synagogues. To him that overcome will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man know, saving he that received it. So that's the stone you're referring to. He gonna give you a name, and ain't nobody gonna know that name except for you. This is why I always told you, it don't matter if you change your name. It don't matter what your mammy named you. If you get saved, they'll give you a new name. So while you worry about changing the name to this and changing the name to that, that don't mean nothing. But I know what it is. It's psychological trauma. See, I was talking to him about this earlier, and I'm going to sprinkle this in as we go along. I told some of y'all this in the past. You say, you know, little boys, now this is one thing I can say, that women are mature than men in one area, and that's in dealing with their emotions. Do you know why women are more mature than young men in dealing with their emotions? Why do you think women are more mature, Michael? You looking like I ain't mature with my emotions right now. Why do you believe that to be the case? What about you, D? Why do you believe that to be the case?
Probably because since in totality, like that, a lot of you that's a lot of solutions. You know what?
What about you, Shayla? Why you think women are more mature emotionally than women? You look like nigga. You know I am. Why you ask me that? No, when I say being emotionally mature, it's not about turning it on and off. Monica, why do you think young women are more emotionally mature than men? Than young men? Absolutely not. That has nothing to do with any of that. You know why young women are more mature emotionally than men? Because y'all have space to let your emotions out and have conversations with other people about them. Well, you didn't put them in them words.
My time has passed.
Oh, that's why though, because little boys do not have that opportunity. Young men don't sit around and be like, bro, what you going through? And why you going through it? A little dude, I was talking about home, a little dude, what we talking about earlier, a little dude can see his homeboy brains get blown out on the concrete, and ain't nobody gonna ask that boy how he doing after he saw that. And he gonna have to get up and continue to go by his day. You know what I'm saying? And nobody is going to ask him what is wrong with him. And then little boys are taught, don't cry. I would tell him earlier. Well, when I fell and chipped my teeth when I was 11, my whole face bleeding, my mouth, you know what my mama told me? Stop crying, boy. You ain't hurt. You know what I looked at and told him? Let you lying. Let you fall on the face first on the concrete and tell me if it hurt. But you know why though? Little boys are told that you're not supposed to cry if you go through physical pain. If you're going through some type of sadness or this, that, and the third, you can't cry about it. I've been told you this here. Ain't nothing wrong with it because the Lord cried. You know what I'm saying? I done told you, just don't cry in front of your old lady because she's going to think you're suck. Go in the bathroom and do it. Go in the back and do it. But you got to let that junk out though. Because you know what happens when you don't let it out? No, rage. Why you think these young niggas be out here killing? Well, not necessarily. What would be these niggas become murderers? You know what I'm saying? They got anger problems. They fight a lot. They're overly aggressive because you got pent up emotion in you. You know what I'm saying? Because that junk ain't healthy. You know what I'm talking about? Now, I try to do this more often than not. Like when them turn crying, especially that little boy, instead of telling him stop crying, you ought to ask him why he's crying. And if he won't stop crying, then you just say, you know what? I don't understand that. When you finish crying, come tell me what is wrong. Because you have to give him space to let it out. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't let it out, he going to hold that in. And when that nigga turn 22, he going to start punching niggas for no reason. Because he mad. You know what I'm saying? You can't see y'all don't usually hold emotion in like that. Y'all let it out. And y'all can go let that out in front of your friends. A whole bunch of dudes at 16, 17 years old ain't sitting around talking about nigga gonna give you a blunt and a bottle of liquor. Well, let's get on these hoes, boy. That'll get your mind off of it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't assist him and because that's why when they get older, they don't understand their feelings. Or why they feeling what they feeling. They've never had the space to allow that to happen. That's why when dudes come with this word and they start dealing with a lot of things, and then a lot of things, emotions and traumas and things like that start coming out, they can't deal with it. Why dudes be so angry? You be wondering why dudes be so angry. That's why they angry. You know what I'm talking about? Then when you sit and you look him in the face and tell him, boy, you need to talk to somebody. You need to do this. Oh, I got it. Well, clearly, nigga, whatever you doing is not working. Because you're an angry person. Nobody should be walking around filled with rage. That's not healthy and that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why the book say, because that's why I done told y'all before, some of you be angry. I know you're not no fool, because it say that wrath or anger rests in the bosom of fools. See, I know where that stuff come from. That's pent up emotion. That's pent up feelings. You've been holding that for a long time. I said, y'all been working on that since y'all were 12. You know what I'm saying? By the time y'all got to college, y'all done mastered sitting around talking about how you feeling. You know what I'm talking about? Then by the time you get to 30, you like this here. Well, a young man might not figure that out till he's 40, which to a certain extent why young men do not have the ability to control their emotions. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the ability to control your emotions, as I told you in the past. You're a weak person. And why are you a weak person? Because someone can manipulate you according to your emotions because you can't control them. Case in point, why I mentioned that statement with Donald Trump. That's a easy sign of manipulating people who don't have control over their emotions. Let's show them his tax records and this, that, there, and the third. Because it's not really about the taxes. It's about the ability to manipulate and control the emotions of other people. Because you know why these people pent up and angry? Because they feel like I'm poor. You know what I'm saying? But they're not really angry because they're poor. They're angry about the things that they suffered in the midst of being poor, that they've never had the opportunity to unload. Because you know, people who actually know how to handle their emotions, those people are happy people. See, you have to allow a young man to be sad. If he's sad, let him be sad. You know what I'm saying? If he's in pain, let him go ahead and say it hurt. Let him cry it out. You know what I'm talking about? If he broke his arm, broke his leg, fell on the ground, let him cry. Eventually it'll subside. And now we were talking about that earlier too. You know why I like say why he cry a lot and whine a lot and why Isaiah do it? Because they don't have control over their environment. So when they want a toy, they want something, you say no, this nigga's upset, he cries. Because what do y'all women do when you don't get control over your environment? You cry. But is it a lie though? Y'all cry when you don't have control over something. Well, they ain't no different. I don't care. You could cry on the inside, you could cry on the outside, nigga. You still crying. Or you call it crying when y'all go get that big cup of ice cream and eat that. That's what you call it. Well, Michael sounded like she done grabbed some ice cream many a day and ate her sorrows away. That's what you like to do, Michael, on your spare time?
Yeah.
Or you a comfort eater? Look at, and a lot of people do that. That's their way of dealing with that emotion when they don't know how to deal with it. I'm feeling something. I'm sad. I don't know how to deal with my sadness. I'm going to eat foods that I should not eat, that I like to eat, because I think these foods will make me feel better. That's why people get high. That's why some people have sex with a lot of different people. Let me do this. This will make me feel better. But when you finish the ice cream, when the man finishes up and busting up in your guts, when the weed is gone, when the liquor bottle is empty, you still feel the same as you did before you did it. It didn't do anything for you. The only thing that it's going to do for you is you have to learn your emotions, process them, discuss them, and then move on. This is why people don't get saved. This is why the word can't get in. I done told y'all this before because niggas got traumas. See, the word can't do nothing for you. That's why he told you if you heavy laden and you got burdens, to set them down to the side, because they can't do nothing for you because you're carrying stuff. You're carrying stuff on the inside. That's why he say to lay aside the weight and that easily beset, and the sin that easily beset us, and run the race with patience. Because you don't think the stuff you done went through is doing something to you. But if you ain't never rationalized with it and dealt with it, I wouldn't care if it happened to you when you was 5 or 25. You still carrying it. It's going to be detrimental to your salvation. It's going to be detrimental to your salvation. It's going to be detrimental to you having proper interactions with other people. If you're not even going to be able to have proper interactions in a I hate to say romantic sense, but in a romantic sense or a platonic sense, then how are you going to have a relationship with Elohim? Because see, what's going to happen is this is why people throw walls and all this other type of stuff, because you got traumas, you ain't talked about them. You ain't dealt with them. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't dealt with them. How is the word of everlasting salvation going to assist you? It's not going to be able to. That's why I've been telling you that for years. Well, I wouldn't care who you went and talk to. You better go talk to somebody and get rid of that luggage. The first person you need to talk to is the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Then you need to talk to whoever's around you, who you feel has the mental wherewithal, the emotional and mental maturity to help you understand your thought process. And then you need to find a licensed professional. You know what I'm saying? I'm being dead serious. That go for everybody. That junk is vital and it is necessary. Because what's going to happen is you're going to continue to relive and replay the traumas that you have experienced in your lifetime, and it won't allow you to flourish and be the best version of yourself. It's just not going to allow you to do so. You know what I'm saying? And that's why people get into destructive habits. People that you see that don't have destructive habits usually are emotionally mature people. Emotionally mature people can know that they can feel a feeling, know why they feel it, understand why they feel it, can express why they feel it, and not do anything detrimental to themselves in the midst of feeling it. If you haven't gotten, so that means you would have control over your emotion. Your emotion would not dictate, you wouldn't lash out. You wouldn't necessarily, what's the word I'm looking for? Withdraw yourself. You wouldn't partake in any destructive habits, whether some people comfort shopping, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you use to be able to placate the emotional turmoil that you're feeling, you're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? And young men don't have that ability. And you know why they don't have that ability? Because you as a woman, you're not going to teach your son how to do that. Because if he go to crying, what's the first thing you're going to tell him? You're being soft. You're crying like a girl. You're doing this. You're doing that. He's not. So guess what he's going to do when he get older? He's going to keep all that junk on the inside. And you get a phone call. Son around here beating my daughter. You want to knock my boy. Your boy is a raging bull. That's an angry child. You know what I'm saying? But he's not angry necessarily because he's angry at you. Is that he just got things that he's been holding in. Since he's been holding it in, when he get triggered, that junk coming out. And it's going to be full-fledged rage. So you got to give him space to let that junk out. Let them feel what they're going to feel. You know what I'm saying? Because stuff ain't normal. You got niggas talking about they don't cry. That's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Somebody died. You don't shed a tear, whether inside or outside, nigga, you psychotic. That's not normal. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just mentioning that because it's thought patterns, especially for our men, that you told that's normal, that's the way that you should be. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way that you should be. You can't function like that. That boy, that tired. Boy. That boy, that sleep like he worked all day. Bird, you sleeping? I can tell. You had a long day? School was rough for you today? You didn't get no free time. This all good, little bird. Come on, man. Let me find the verse I'm looking for. Revelation 3:12. Look at what he tell you here. Make it 3:11. What you say, son? What you say? You never done what? You're not gonna do a raise like that.
No, rage.
A range.
What you were talking about.
Rage.
Oh, rage. You don't want to be angry. I hope you don't be angry, son. I just want you to listen to your parents. That's all I desire from you. Do I ask much from you? Do I ask you to do a lot?
No.
What's the one thing I asked you to do?
Yes.
That's all I want you to do, son. Can you do that?
Yes.
I hope so. That would please me well. Revelation 3:11. Say, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which you have, that no man take your crown. Him that overcome will I make a pillar, in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my Elohim. Notice what he said, right? The name of, stop it, boy. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Share it with him. Don't do him like that. Muffin Man, you can't have the whole book. You got to share it. Muffin Man. That's what you're not going to do. That's what you're not going to do. Notice how he said you'll get the name of his Elohim. See your daddy. He called for you. You've been summoned. That boy looking like, man, shoot. Now, when you look at him, write the name of his Elohim, again, what have we been telling you about the name of his father? You don't know it. So you're only going to know the name of his father if you overcome and are counted worthy to enter into that kingdom. He said, and I will write upon him the name of my Elohim and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which come down out of Shamahim from my Elohim, and I will write upon him my new name. So the only way you're going to know the name of Elohim and the name of Mashiach upon his return is you must overcome. Which means if you come back to 2 Corinthians 5, if you've overcome, that means you have been reconciled. And if you've been reconciled, that means your sins have been purged. Because that's what the Day of Atonement is about. All this stuff where brothers be out here talking about if I offended anybody, you ain't supposed to. The Day of Atonement is not about you reconciling yourself to each other, because you're supposed to do that anyway. This day ain't got nothing to do with you reconciling with each other. This day deals with the reconciliation of sin. Because sin separates you from Elohim. 2 Corinthians 5 and 17. He said, therefore, if any man be in Mashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. All things are of Elohim, who have reconciled us to himself by Yahushua HaMashiach, and have given us the ministry or service of reconciliation. To wit, Elohim was in Mashiach, reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their trespasses unto them, and have committed unto us the word of reconciliation. Now, then we are ambassadors for Mashiach, as though Elohim did beseech you by us. Pray you in Mashiach's stead, be you reconciled to Elohim, or get the atonement. So that's why I say, right, every time that if the gospel is preached, then pretty much truth be told, every day is the Day of Atonement. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to wait for the 10th day of the 7th month to be reconciled back to Elohim. You can be reconciled back to Elohim the minute you hear the gospel. In the literal sense, that would have been the Day of Atonement for you, because your sins would have been purged. That's what go down on the Day of Atonement, ain't it? Let's take a look at it in Leviticus 16 for the people who don't know. Leviticus chapter 16, picking up at verse 4. Matter of fact, make it 2. Just gonna tie to something else I got to deal with. I got to crank it up a notch. I got a lot of loose ends to tie together. And I'm sorry, Kerry, I missed you, but you're right. Women are allowed to deal with their emotions. Growing up, how many of y'all were told by people you shouldn't deal with your emotions? See, now we ain't talking about being an emotional little hoe now, where you crying every single solitary day. Because that's not dealing with your emotions. You being a hoe now. You know what I'm saying? Most men ain't allowed to, you told, you ain't supposed to cry, you ain't supposed to feel no pain. You lying to me. But boy, if I'm in pain, boy, I'm gonna let that be known. Nigga, this junk hurt. Gonna have me walking around here like I ain't in pain, nigga, that junk hurt. No, sir. Huh? What happened to me?
What happened?
Then I say, I'm hurt. This is painful. I need medical attention. Huh? What'd you say, Michael?
What happened? What happened?
I just told you.
Oh, yeah. You said that.
Leviticus 16:2. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, speak unto Aaron your brother, that he come not at all times into the Kadash place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he should die not, for I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. Thus shall Aaron come into the Kadash place with a young bullock for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the Kadash linen coat. He shall have on the linen breeches upon his flesh. He shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with a linen mitre shall he be attired. These are the Kadash garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. He shall take of the congregation of the sons of Yasharal 2 kids of the goats for a sin offering, and 1 for the ram offering. And Aaron shall offer his bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself and for his house. So, of course, you know the high priest, before he could make the atonement for Yasharal, he had to make an atonement for himself and his household. Well, Mashiach did that himself when he offered himself. When he went up there on that stake, I want you to keep that in mind that he said he'll appear on the cloud on the mercy seat. I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Let's come back to Isaiah 33. But see, the point what I was asking you that for, in order to see the king, your sins got to be purged. That's why he said, take, drink. This is my blood in the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Because that's what the Day of Atonement was about, the remission of sins. It's not just about fasting and all the other stuff that most groups want to talk about. It is literally about the remission of sins, purging and reconciliation. It's about being reconciled to Elohim. Remember, Isaiah 59 tell you that what has separated you between you and your Elohim, your sins have separated you between you and your Elohim. So your Elohim came manifested in the flesh to bring you back to him, and that you would no longer be separated from him because of your sins. And that his Father was in him, and that's what allowed him to reconcile you back. That's why when you preach the gospel, that's Elohim beseeching you. Yeah, it's Yahushua's word, he the word, but that's really his Father that is begging you to be reconciled. Not the begging like, you know, Jodeci was begging. But imploring you, encouraging you, that it would be for your benefit to return. See, that's the difference. That's what I was telling you about last week, about what love actually is in its complete component. Love to somebody who's rebellious is restrictive and oppressive. Because love in its essence is going to protect you. And the love of Elohim is going to protect you from yourself and from the wicked machinations of the world. Because the world is against Elohim. So since the world is against Elohim, his love is to protect you from that which will damage you. See, we can't see that. I remember hearing somebody years back say, everything that's fun, God is against. But why would that person make that statement? They made that statement in regards to because of the pleasures of their flesh. I guess one instance why I always see people say sex is spiritual. Ain't nothing spiritual about that, because Elohim don't need to have sex. That's a carnal act for the purpose of reproducing. That's what it's really for. That's his primary job, is to reproduce. You just happen to be able to derive some form of pleasure out of it and the means of reproducing. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing spiritual about it. Nothing in the least bit. That junk be, and you know what's funny to me? It's always women who say it and simp niggas who co-sign it. That's why I ain't never believed none of that junk. Ain't nobody soul tied to you because you had sex with them. They just left their bodily fluids behind. And that's it. Your soul ain't tied to nobody. That's an emotional tie, an emotional attachment. But you see why they tell people that? Because see, they're not going to teach you that that's what that is. Ain't no soul tie. That's an emotional attachment. Talking about you got sex demons and transferring spirit. You niggas stupid. You ain't transferring no spirit. That's semen and vaginal fluid. You tell me how a spirit and a demon got transmitted through semen and vaginal fluid. It ain't happening. And contrary to popular belief, a lot of these niggas get emotional attachments from laying with these women, because that's all it is. It's an emotional attachment. It ain't her sex is that good or that great. You become emotionally attached to this person. And we all know that once you become emotionally attached to anything, it is detrimental to your mental state. And that's why you see people acting direct. See, you know what? Nobody wants to say that because it's not provocative. It don't get the people going. That's a very simplistic way to view it, and it has a very simple solution for it. You know what I'm saying? You would have to sit back and look at, why did you seek to be emotionally attached to this person? What caused you to be emotionally attached to this person? It's superior point blank. Because niggas get emotionally attached to people who don't even care about them. They don't even care about them. You emotionally attached to this nigga. I told you when I was a jit, boy, I was up on game early. Chicks be like, I love him. And I'd be like, well, what you love about him, baby? I love him. Oh, you just lying. You don't love this nigga. You know what I'm saying? There's something that he got going on. It ain't necessarily got to be sexual. You just, that's what you coming up with. You don't have no tangible reasons why you love this person. So then when you come with the love of Elohim and these things are tangible, you don't want what's tangible because you want what makes you feel good. This is why I've said for years, not just with women, period, but just people, period. That's why nobody wants a righteous man, because that is not a feeling. The love of Elohim is not going to make you feel anything because it's not emotional. It's not emotional. And you're not going to have free range to move and do what you want to do. That's why you think all these brews getting the word and all the time they worry about it getting a spouse and a wife. Talking about Elohim, my brother. Stop, man. You're horny. That's what your problem is. You got an itching in your loins. So because of an itching in your loins, you're not going to actually assess, does this man or this woman have godly character? Does this person even care about you? Do they care about your soul? Do they have a desire for you to be whole? Will this man even give you any type of wisdom whatsoever? Does this woman care about your peace of mind and your success? Is she concerned with making sure that you're happy? See, those things don't come about, so that's why the love fails, which means it was never love, it was lust or infatuation. Because what does the word say about love, Michael? Do you know what the word says about love, Michael? Love endures, and it never fails. Love never fails. So guess what happens, y'all? If it failed for one of a few reasons. There was never love there. And if it was never love there, it was nothing but lust, infatuation, or someone seeking to use another party to benefit off of that party. See, of course, we live in a society now that confuses lust, love, and infatuation a lot. A lot of people swore they were in love with somebody when they were really just infatuated with them. And you already know if somebody you're lusting after somebody, because the only thing that you got going on is sex. This nigga could be the worst human being on the face of the earth, but you like having sex with her. This woman could be the raggediest, no goodest, biggest slut whore that has ever been born, but you're going to stay rolling with her because you like having sex with her. Because we've already had this conversation. Black people are the only people who will pick their mate strictly from the waist down. That's what you're concerned with. Sexual prowess. Not what's in his heart, not what's in his soul, not what's in his mind, not wisdom or understanding that he possesses, but can he make my vagina feel good? And wonder why you got a trash can. Isaiah 33. 33 and 17 again. Your eyes shall see the king in his beauty, and they shall behold the land that is very far off. Thy heart shall meditate terror. Where is the scribe? Where is the receiver? Where is he that counted the towers? You shall not see a fierce people, a people of deeper speech than you can perceive, of a stammering tongue that you cannot understand. Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Your eyes shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation. Oh, you found the chapter, didn't you? Very good. A quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall be removed, neither shall there be any cords thereof shall be broken. But there, glorious Yahuwah, will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams, wherein shall go no galley with oars, neither shall gallant ships thereby. You know why he tell you this here, right? If it's a place of broad rivers and streams, what is this referring to? Garden of Eden. So why would anybody be using any paddles and boats be going through rivers of living water? That don't make sense. Let's continue. For Yahuwah is our judge. Yahuwah is our lawgiver. Yahuwah is our king. He will save us. Ain't that what it say, right? That's what we read in 1 Samuel, right? Yahuwah is your king, right? But what did you do? You rejected your king. You despised him. You questioned the words of eternity. Now, we're not going to necessarily go to all the places. How many times did they question Mashiach? A lot of times, did they not question him? Consistently, regularly. What was we at before? God, Psalm 60, boom, boom, boom. John chapter 19. From 19 and 1. Can you find it? Renee, can you find it? Can you find John chapter 19? Huh? You don't know? That's Julie. You want John 19. Come here, Renee. What's that say?
Can I help you?
So what chapter is it?
John 19.
And where are you at? What chapter are you in? What chapter are you in, Leah?
18.
What chapter are you in, Renee? Very good. John 19 and 1. Then Pilate therefore took Yahushua and scourged him. The soldiers platted a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They put on him a purple robe and said, Hail, Malach of the Yahudim, and they smote him with their hands. Pilate therefore went forth again and said unto them, Behold, I bring him forth to you, that you may know that I find no fault in him. Then came Yahushua forth wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said unto them, Behold the man. When the chief priests therefore and the officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them, Take you him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him. The Yahudim answered, We have a Torah. By our Torah he ought to die, because he made himself the son of Elohim. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he was the more afraid. He went again into the judgment hall and said unto Yahushua, Whence art you? But Yahushua gave him no answer. Then said Pilate unto him, Speak you not unto me? Know you not that I have power to crucify you, and I have power to release you? Yahushua answered, You could not have power at all against me, except it was given you from above. Therefore he that delivered you unto me have the greater sin. And from thenceforth Pilate sought to release him, but the Yahudim cried out, saying, If you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. Whosoever make himself a king, speak against Caesar. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Yahushua forth and sat down in the judgment seat, a place that is called the Pavement, but in the Abarim Kabaka, and the preparation of the Passover. And it was the preparation of the Passover, about the 6th hour. And he said unto the Yahudim, Behold your king. But they cried out, Away with him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priest answered, We have no king but Caesar. Then delivered he him therefore unto them to be crucified, and they took Yahushua and led him away. So who would Pilate representative of in this situation? He was representative of Samuel, because he protested solemnly. He warned him and he bare witness, because what he kept telling them, Behold your king, right? Ain't that what Yahuwah told Samuel to do? Give them their king, but protest solemnly. And they turned around and they rejected him twice. They gave 2 witnesses. They say, boy, he making himself king. You ain't Caesar's friend. You do that, boy. That's ugly right there. But the book has to be fulfilled. So they not knowing. See, I was talking to a brother about this here the other day, right? Let me ask y'all a question. Anyone can answer at their leisure, scream and all. With the exception of the book of Acts, chapter 8, I believe, when Philip was quoting Isaiah chapter 53, right? And I also say with the exception of Luke chapter 4, when Yahushua himself said that Isaiah 61 was speaking of him. How many times do you read any of the apostles or Mashiach himself outlining specifically book, chapters, and verses that are talking about him. And I'll omit Acts chapter 2 as well with Peter on Pentecost, because he ran verses down. But where do you read from anywhere from Matthew all the way to Revelation where somebody is opening up the text and say, see, this book is such and such is talking about him? But he asked them a question. He asked them because they kept sizing him, so he went ahead and sized them back. But what I'm talking about is how we look at things and say, hey, such and such is bearing witness to Yahusha. Where do you read individuals doing it? You read Paul doing it in Acts 28. Of course, you see Yahusha doing it when he rests. See, I'm asking that for a question, right? Because a dude to say, well, if Yahusha was born of a virgin, why you don't read nowhere where he taught that, right? But you don't read a lot of places where a lot of things are bearing witness of this man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he told them he was going to resurrect from the dead, but where do you read where he told them what verses said he was going to resurrect from the dead? You don't read what. Well, I'm mentioning that for a reason, because the elements that are contained in the gospel are not manifest. The only one that is clearly manifested is Isaiah 53 with the Ethiopian eunuch, Psalms 2 and Psalm 16 and Acts chapter 2. Psalm 16 and Psalms 2, if I'm not mistaken, is used again in Acts 13. And that's Luke chapter 4, which I mentioned. He said Isaiah 61, and he said this verse is fulfilled in your eyes this day. You know what I'm saying? But where do you actually open up and say, boom, it's talking about him here, and boom, you just seen that they publicly showed out the scriptures that he was the son of Elohim. But you don't see what scriptures they used. And you know why that's not? Because that's the mystery of Elohim. They're not going to put that out there. That is to show you what, if it's given to you of Elohim, then you're going to be able to give it. If it's not given to you of Elohim, then you're going to say, well, we don't know about that. That's conjunction. Well, look here, buddy. You just ain't got it. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Because where do you see that at? You don't even see where the book even tells you how Adam is the son of Elohim. It's not even explained. You know why it's not explained? Because you would need to know the word to be able to explain it. All right, I put this here, right? Now, I'm saying this for a reason, right? Let's take an example. 1 Corinthians 15 say Yahusha is the second Adam, correct? But he don't explain to you where he get that from, does he? That means that you would actually need to know the testimony of Mashiach to explain that. You understand what I'm saying? Like when we were looking at what he said, when we looked at the law being the tree of knowledge of good and evil. What's the statement that Paul said, right? Where there is no law, there's no what? There's no. So how can you explain that? You would actually need to know the gospel to explain that. Because you know that's what dudes run to when they say, well, it don't say that nowhere, so it's not a sin. Because dudes can't explain that. Because he didn't explain to you why he said that and where he got that from. Example again, the verse that we're reading from. He said Elohim was manifested in the flesh, right? That's a direct statement that he's saying that Yahusha is Elohim, is it not? He does not explain why he says that. He said, great is the mystery of godliness. Elohim was manifested in the flesh, justified in the spirit, preached on Gentiles, seen of angels, believed on in the world, and received up into esteem. You just know by reading the letters about Mashiach, he doesn't explain any of that. But you know what that tells us? The people he wrote that letter to, they had that explained to them. They already knew that. So there was no need for him to go through all that because they had already been, well, Timothy, he already knew that. So that means whoever Timothy was teaching already knew that. Why would they already do that? Because Paul taught it to him and Timothy taught it to him. But what do you hear Bruce argue about now? Yahusha not Elohim, but yet Paul wrote that in his letter. So the first thing they'll say is he don't know what he's talking about, when in reality, you don't know the word, you don't know the gospel in order to know why he said that. Here's another example just came to mind. What it was? That just went out. Boom. When it tell you in John that those that are born of Elohim sin not, you would need to know the gospel to explain that to someone. Now, little Muffin, know and I done told all y'all that. Like, you know that you got to know the Genesis and Malachi to understand what the voice is right. When you seek that first, their letters are very easy to understand. But when you don't know the gospel, then those letters are very confusing. It don't matter who wrote. Oh, that's what it was. In Romans, right? Y'all should remember when he said, if I be a liar, hold on, come to Romans chapter 3. See, this is why I want you to sit back for y'all remember, so y'all can see whether you know the word or not, or recall the word, I should say. Romans 3 and 3, right? Or 3 and 4. Then we'll move on. Abigail, don't fall out that chair now. That chair ain't made for you to be standing up on while Renee's sitting. Now what's going to happen is you're going to fall. And this glass right here, Abigail, it's solid. And it's going to hurt. Romans 3 and 4. Elohim forbid, let Elohim be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that you might be justified in your sins, that you might overcome when you are judged. But if unrighteousness come in the righteousness of Elohim, what shall we say? Is Elohim unrighteous who take vengeance? I speak as a man. Elohim forbid, but then how shall Elohim judge the world? For if the truth of Elohim have more abounded through my lie under his esteem, why yet am I also judged as a sinner? Now, verse 7 is what we're here for. He said, if the truth of Elohim have abounded through my lie under his esteem. Why did he say that? Because if you know the word, then you know why he said that. Do anyone know why he said that? Because a lot of people say, he said right here, he a liar. But this is just knowing the word. When you know the word, you know why he said it. Speak up, I can't hear you, son. No, I get that, but there's actual book. He's actually quoting book when he says this. He is actually quoting book when he says it. Now, of course, y'all know verse 4. You know what I'm saying? Let man be true. Elohim be true and every man a liar. Because what is that is? That's number 23, right? The Elohim is not a what? That he should lie. So that's your first instance what you can say, because he said men are liars right there in number 23. Then there's another place of why he's saying this, where word back this up, not just personal opinion. No, Kerry, I just caught that with it. Even when they asked him whether he was a prophet or not, even with when Yahushua asked his apostles who he was, who did they say they thought he was? Elijah, Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. Now, why would they have said that? Because they knew the word. They see him doing what they were doing. Now, you just mentioned, son, Elijah and Jeremiah have similar testimonies. They bear witness against Yahshua because of their sin. And indeed, he is the living word made flesh. And that is definitely the truth. But come over here to Psalms 116. Psalms 116. You can pick it up at verse 8. You like for me to find it for you? You found Romans 3. Psalms 116, verse 8. You have delivered my soul from death, my eyes from tears, my feet from falling. I will walk before Yahuwah in the land of the living. I believe, therefore have I spoken. He said he what? So he's what? He done spoken. I was greatly afflicted. Listen what he said. I said in my haste, all men are liars. He said in his haste. So when he's saying right here in Romans chapter 3, verse 7, if the truth of Elohim have abounded through my lot under his esteem, why am I judged the sinner? Because he's saying that all men are what? Liars. The text bears witness to that. 2 witnesses bear witness to that. That's why he said that. If you don't know the word, then you're going to gloss right over that and try to come up with something to disparage a man because you're ignorant of the mystery of godliness at the end of the day. Because this man ain't, you have to always recall and remember this one key component. The gospel was taught to all these people who he was writing these letters to. This man had already been in these assemblies and sat down and taught the gospel to every one of these congregations that he's writing a letter to. So those people understood exactly what he was saying and why he was saying it, because they had been taught the gospel of Yahushua from him. You understand what I'm saying? That's the same with Peter. It's the same with John. It's the same with James. It's the same with Jude. All those people who they were writing letters to, hallelujah indeed, already had been taught the gospel. See, that's the problem in our dispensation of time. They're not taught the gospel. So they looking at these things from a carnal aspect and blaspheme against the name of Elohim to their own destruction, whether they know it or not. Come over here to 1 Samuel chapter. Back to chapter 8, I believe.
What Job wrote to, he said crushed out.
You have to. I want you to look at the word Malik, right? Back in 1 Samuel 8 and 7. Words y'all familiar with. Of course, he said, Yahuwah said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people, and all that they say unto you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. Now, you know, you got Meme, Lamad, and Ka, and you can go ahead, right? It means to become, to reign. Or cause to reign. You got Meme, Lamad, and Ka. What would you say? Lil Joe. Lil Joe. What's your problem here, cuz? His name is Joe. He butt? What are you talking about that man butt? Mm-hmm. Come here, boy. Meme, Lamar, and Ka for Malik, for Rain. Where you think you going? You do, boy? You staying? You staying? You staying? Meme, Lamar, and Ka, right? I want you to think about this here, right? Now I want you to think real closely before you come up with your sentence. We're dealing with what? Yahuwah being rejected as king in Samuel, right? We seen Yahushua being rejected and king in John, right? I want you to think about what was going on with Yahushua in that regard when he was rejected. What's going on around here? What was going on with Yahushua when he was rejected for being king? He was finna die. So when you think about this meme, Lamar and Ka, what would you say? His work was binding to chaos. I will allow it. It is sufficient. Why you took that book? You don't want it anymore? Oh, she's helping you? Oh, you'd have to come over closer for her to help you now, wouldn't she? What she said is what close about what I have is that chaos has subdued the shepherd. Now, if chaos has subdued the shepherd, what happened after chaos subdued him? Well, let's look at Ecclesiastes 4 and 14, and let's see what it says. Ecclesiastes 4 and 14. He said, for out of prison he come to reign, whereas also he that is born in his kingdom is become poor. Now, y'all should remember this because we dealt with this in the past. Now, of course, you got prison. I want you to think about prison. It's Asar, it is Aleph, it is Samak, and it is Rosh. Of course, you know it is the tie to a prison, to be taken prisoner. Aleph, Samak, and Rosh. Of course, after that is Bat, so it's prison house. It's Asar Bat, so it's prison house. So remember, it says, out of the prison house, he come to reign. So again, we're talking about the ministry of reconciliation. I think one of y'all mentioned the joint heir aspect, and that's where that's coming in now. Because guess what's going to have to happen with you if you're going to reign with Mashiach? Guess what's going to have to happen to you? What happened to him for him to reign? He was rejected. So you're going to have to be rejected. See, that's what a lot of us don't. And get what, right? Not being rejected by the white man, not being rejected of America, but rejected of people who profess that he is their Elohim. Because that's who rejected Yahuwah and Samuel. That's who rejected Yahusha and John. That wasn't the Romans. The Romans didn't reject him. That was his own kind who rejected him. Remember, he said, a time come where they will kill you and think they do Elohim service. That's who's going to reject you. You got to be ready for that. But these boys out here playing games, man. These boys out here playing games. These people come up here the same every year with the same teaching, tell you how it's about atonement, you got to fast. How many times do we need to talk about atonement and fasting? Do we need to do that every year? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, see the difference with this atonement. Now, remember, right? It said Aaron had to make an atonement for himself in his own household, right? Now, who recalls what Aaron's name means? The light bearer. And Mashiach told you that he was the light bearer, did he not? So guess what? Instead of bringing a bull and a goat for a sin offering, Elohim decided to offer himself. What better atonement to purge your sins than Elohim offering himself? Because he already told you that in Rome and Hebrew, that the blood of bulls and goats couldn't dare purge a man's conscience from sin. That's why I said Mashiach has offered himself by the eternal Ruach that you might purge your conscience from dead works. See, they don't want to talk about that. But that's what we're here for. But like I said, though, you've been keeping the Day of Atonement all year. You just ain't fasted on it. I told another one good brother of ours this here the other day, because he was just looking at it. Y'all already know. When you fasting spiritually, what is that representative of? You afflicting your soul. What is that manifesting for? Not just that one, because that is accurate. Yeah, if you can deny your flesh from what it needs, because see, you need food and drink, right? Because if you don't get food and drink, guess what's going to happen? You're going to die. But you don't need the pleasures of the flesh, though. That's what the fast was really supposed to be showing you. That if you can afflict yourself and humble yourself before. See, that's also the key thing. That's what dudes say you don't got to fast. Because it means humble. But nigga, don't you think that's humbling yourself before Elohim? Because who provides the food and drink that you eat, dummy? You thought you got it off your own power? You thought you got it off your own might? Hey, sit down. Because I don't even like what you're doing. Seems like you're playing. And I don't appreciate it. But we about to afflict your soul. Like for your soul to be afflicted? Made a wise choice. Like, think about that, though. Didn't Peter write you that? He that suffer in the flesh ceases from what? That's what you're supposed to be realizing when you suffering if you fast and you ain't suffering in the flesh, your flesh, I sure am hungry. And you know why you feel, most of y'all fast every day. You don't stop and get nothing to eat. You don't stop and drink a beverage. But you know why? For some, because I'm glad I ain't got many brews on the page now, because them niggas used to piss me off, posting play-by-plays while they fasting. Nigga, you might as well go get you a hamburger. You know what I'm saying? Because you doing it for nothing. But you know why they were moaning and groaning? Because your flesh was conscious that it was being denied something. And in the midst of knowing that it was being denied, you longed for it. That's how a lot of people think about their sins. That's why I tell you, and I know some brothers, and I respect them for it. They'll mention, I ain't smoke or drink in X amount of days. But I'd be like this here, don't count them. Don't even think about it. Just don't do it no more. Because the reason is you could trigger your flesh because it's on your mind. You know what I'm saying? When it's on your mind, your flesh might yearn for it. And when it yearn for it, you might go ahead and roll that doobie up. You might go ahead and get you a pack of Newport shorts in the box. Go and get you that wood tip Black and Mild. Stop to the store and get you that bottle of yak. You like yak, Leah? You like yak?
I don't know what that is.
And you should know it. Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. But that's just what happens. How some of y'all feel when you saying you finna eat clean, and now you always think about eating clean. You think about them Debbie cakes you want, don't you? Debbie cakes dancing in your head, coffee cakes, and all types of manner of sweets that you like. You want that processed candy bar on the thing. You're thinking about it. Versus if you just live it, like Michael Lavin, you just got you one earlier, didn't you? So I ate me a Butterfinger before I came home. That's usually what happens. I'm saying that because most people don't stick to workout regimens and diets for that very reason, because they're thinking about what they can't have, what they can't eat. When you constantly focus on the things that you can't do, you very well be more inclined to fall back into that negative behavior because it's consistently and constantly on your mind. The book tells you, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if that's what's on your mind, you very well may be inclined to participate in that behavior. Stop fighting, boy. Well, you were looking like somebody was trying to break you in. People like, y'all not gonna help me? That's how you look. But you're tired, boy. You're tired. Let's come over here, right? I think we read it the other day. And that is, you should fast humbly to yourself and definitely not to prove nothing to nobody. I'm definitely with you on that, little homie, because that junk get angry with me. I ain't got many brews on the page no more as years pass. No more as you be seeing, I'm fasting. The ones I do, they didn't talk about it. Some of them probably done got past that. It might have been the first ones at the time. You know what I'm saying? And they going through it because they ain't eating or drinking. But boy, we done had small children in here who done fasted and did better than some adults. You done fasted every year of your life, ain't you? Huh? You've kept the Day of Atonement every day of your life, ain't you? Every year of your life. You didn't even know that, did you? You kept the Day of Atonement when you was a baby. You remember that? You was in the house sweating. You didn't even know you was in there sweating, did you? Yeah, you was just a baby. Romans chapter 8. What? Well, you've been doing this your whole life, boy.
This is the second time that you don't even get to see the journey.
This ain't the second time. This is your 8th time. You've done this 8 times.
18.
Yes. Yes, you have. Might be the second time that you remember. You've done this every year of your life.
I only know one. Not the one was when I was 7. Was
8 and 16.
Yeah.
Well, yes, sir. You've done this many other times than that.
I did not know that. I only remember one time. Not the other times.
You didn't do it in 2012 when you were born. Your first atonement was in 2013. So you were about you're about 9 months old. Quiet. You're about 9 months old. What did I just say? No, don't cover up your face. No, sit up straight and lift your head up. Because you know better. No doubt. I would recommend not just on atonement, if anything, in my personal opinion, depending on your level of spiritual maturity, I would recommend that you fast at least once a month. At least once a month. And when you do so, make sure that you ain't got nothing going on, so you can be focused on making prayer, so that your voice can be heard. You know what I'm saying? So that whatever you're requesting of Elohim, that if he see fit to grant it unto you, that he will grant it. And if need be, of course, if you're married, you need to clear that with your husband first. You know what I'm saying? Because you go in there fasting and you don't want to have no intercourse, and you ain't told him and he want to have intercourse, then your fast is done. So you need to make sure that you let that be known. Those are not things that y'all need to, men too, you need to tell your wife, because she might be feeling frisky and you around here talking about you fasting. Those are conversations that you have ahead of time. You just don't go off and go do that. That's not how that works. I'm just letting y'all know that's not how that works. You don't go on an individual fast without talking to your significant other about that. Because guess what? They may want to do it with you, which can make the fast and the supplication stronger than you doing it solo. You got to remember, you're married. You're supposed to be a team. You can't be walking around here working like individuals. That's not how that works. You're one, so you have to move as one. You can't move as two separate people. Moving as two separate people, you're going to fight against one another. And what did Mashiach tell you about that? A house divided is going to fall. Nevertheless, Romans chapter 8, man, verse 16. You can make it 14 if you would. Shoot, make it 13. We'll make it 12. It's all the same. Romans 8 and 12. Have you found it? All right. Did you find it, Renee? Would you like some help to find it?
I can
Bring
help
it
her.
here.
I can help her.
Bring it here. Oh, well, he can help. Help their boot right up his butt. Romans 8 and 12. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. Remember, chaos subdued the shepherd. In order for him to reign, because remember it said, for out of the prison house, he come to reign. So for him to be the king, he had to come up out the grave. Let's continue. And again, because this come what? Because he was what? He was rejected. Because Yahuwah was already rejected. And again, this is showing that Yahuwah and Yahusha are one and the same. See, we were going to talk about the first and the last. Remember, I told you to remember that about that cloud coming over that mercy seat? See, we coming to that in a minute. He said, for if you live after the flesh, you shall die. But if you through the Ruach do mortify the deeds of the body, you shall live. See, again, that's showing you that in regards to the fasting or the humbling, because he mortified his body by humbling himself, by becoming a man, even under death. Because remember, we were talking about him being the best meat. He finished all that. Because remember, in Hebrews chapter 2, it said it behooved him to be made like unto who? So he didn't take on him the nature of Malachim, but the seed of who? Abraham. That ain't what it said. That's why we read that genealogy in Chronicles and Matthew. That's why he said that the man who Yahuwah to. What we read in Luke chapter 1, he told Mary, you'll have a son, and he will be what? He'll sit upon the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob for what? Forever. You know what I'm talking about? And he shall be great, and he shall be called the Son of the Highest, and his kingdom will have no end. But in order for that kingdom to come about, chaos had to subdue, or sin had to subdue the shepherd. Sin had to subdue him. And it was the sins of the people that subdued him, because sin subdued the original shepherd who was set in the garden to reign, and that was Adam. See, we don't even sit back and look at that. That was not Adam given dominion to rule over the whole earth? He was the first Malik, the first one to reign, and sin subdued him. So that Mashiach could come out of his prison and reign. And everyone that is born of his kingdom is made poor or made low, or they are humbled. See, if you're going to be born in his kingdom, then you're going to have to be humble. And if you're going to have to be humble, then you're going to have to be subdued, just like he is subdued. And that's the purpose of atonement and the fasting. Humble yourself, even unto death. That's what you're really supposed to be looking at, not you not eating food and drink, but that you're going to humble yourself, even unto death. You're going to humble yourself to the obedience of the word, because you trust in the promise of the Father. Not no nigga posted on Facebook, if I offended you, hit my inbox. One thing for certain, two things for sure. You know who you offended, nigga. If a nigga offended somebody or did somebody wrong, you best believe that nigga know he did it. So don't nobody need to hit your inbox, because you already know what you done and what you ain't did. See, I don't like stuff like that, because to me it's disingenuous. Why make a post about it? Just go holler at him. You know who you, because I don't care nothing about offending a nigga about a Facebook post. If your whole behind offended by somebody posted, nigga, you need to check in between your legs, nigga. Make sure you still a man. Because you shouldn't be offended by nothing nobody posts on the internet. You don't even know them people. I don't even see how people talk about, I be stressed out with Facebook, man. It's so toxic. I be like, nigga, just don't log on and keep scrolling. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, how do you let a free app on your phone ruin your day? With people you don't even know. You don't even know them people. Hold on. That's a reasonable assertion that he gonna judge you based on what you have. But I will say that double-edged sword, I'll be honest with you, little bro, man, most people done heard more than you think they done heard. And they just done rejected it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes Elohim don't even give them a long rope to get more, because he already know their hearts. It's more so like the parable of the sower, or put it that way. If unbelief sown in their heart, then he gonna snatch it. If it's good ground, then it's gonna bear the fruit, and they'll get that double-edged sword. But if it's that if it done fell amongst them stones or amongst the vines, then that junk gonna get choked off, man. Or they ain't gonna have no root, and when a little trouble come around, they gonna walk away. Oh, I thought you was asleep, little baby. You just walked right past him. You around here saying whole words. What you talking about, brother? Little goofy little girl. Romans 8 and 14. For as many as are led by the Ruach of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. For you have not received the Ruach of bondage again to fear, but you have received the Ruach of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba. See, when he tell you that Ruach of adoption, by the way of Mashiach, you are able to be brought in to the family of Elohim. See, that's the other conversation, and that we may touch on that more this week as well. That you did not have access to the family of Elohim with the old covenant. You didn't have access to that. Mashiach gave you the ability to be brought in, to have access to be a part of the family that's in Shamanim. There's nowhere in that old covenant where you can look at that and you've been adopted. Let me ask you this here, right? Matter of fact, praise the Lamb. It's in the law. Where you see that you got the Ruach of adoption, that you can cry Abba in the law. It's in the law. You say the gift of the firstborn? It's in the law. Who can tell me where? Hey, cut it out. Both of them. I own that. No, you're wrong too. Come on from back there. Now, don't walk around like Michael Jackson Thriller now. Now, you ain't going with her. You see her later. Who can tell me? It's in the law, the ruach of adoption, where you cry Abba. In the law. Who can tell me? No, they ain't ruach of adoption where they call somebody their daddy. Boy, cut it out. Cut it out. Who can tell me? I know somebody know y'all pretty sharp. Y'all sharp people. Lot. Lot still call Abraham his uncle. Huh? Or you looking like you know, or you just thinking, or you just looking like that because your son comes. What about you, Deidre? You know? Little Muffin, you know? What about you, Stanley? Somebody got adopted, called him daddy. And they wasn't his son. So what? Well, you got something for me on that? You know what I'm talking about? Any of y'all on the stream know what I'm talking about? What it is, right? I'm going to let it click to 57. I'm going to give you one more minute to think about it. So you got a whole nother minute to think about it. In the law, there's an example. He said, now you got the ruach of adoption where you cry Abba, right? And then what it said? It's in the law. You got an example of that in the law. Person, literally. Literal person adopted, and they cry Abba. I wasn't Moses. You got 35 seconds. You know, you looking like you like to kill. You looking at me like you want to fight. Some gloves in the back. No, he mentioned that one there, but he ain't call him daddy. He still called him his own. Y'all got 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Kira, you right on time. Kira, you right on time. Kira is the winner. Come on over here to Genesis chapter 48. Genesis chapter 48 and verse 7. Huh? Yeah, they wasn't his daddy, was they? Were they not adopted? That's what niggas always say when they take the test. I was gonna put that on there. All the same. The reason why you can say they can call him Abba because they are considered to be a tribes, and therefore Jacob is considered to be their father. It ain't even mentioned in the text no more that Manasseh and Ephraim are Joseph's sons. They just automatically considered to be Jacob. Genesis chapter 48 and verse 5. He said, and now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto you in the land of Mizraim, before I came unto you in the Mizraim, are mine. You see what he said? They mine. This Jacob talking now. You can back that up to verse 3, just so you can see that this, just so y'all know that this Jacob talking. Jacob said unto Joseph, Elohim Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. Now let's go back to verse 5 again. And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto you in the land of Mizraim, they were born what? In the land of bondage. Before I came unto you into Egypt, are mine. That boy throw fish, don't he? As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. So that's the ruach of adoption. Well, they gonna cry, Abba. Joseph is removed. Them ain't even no churn no more. Your daddy done came through and say, them not true. The father has come to the son and say, your sons are what? My sons. And what you see that where Elohim and Yahushua son, because what he said, all mine are what? Thine. And all that you have given, all those are yours, you've given to me. It's the same concept. Let's continue. And your issue, which you begat after them, shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren and their inheritance. Do what he said. Anyone that they have, them yours. But these right here, them mine. Let's continue. And as for me, when I come from Canaan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan. Oh, praise Elohim. In the way, when you were there, was but a little way to come unto Ephratah, and I buried her in the way of Ephratah, the same as Bethlehem. Yasharal beheld Joseph's 2 sons and said, who are these? Joseph said unto his father, these are my sons, whom Elohim have given me in this place. And he said, bring them, I pray you, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Yasharal were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Yasharal said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see your face. And lo, Elohim showed me also your seed. Now listen what he tell you, right? He said, I thought not to see your face, but now Elohim has showed me your seed. Let's continue. Joseph brought them out from between his knees and bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand towards Yasharal's left hand, Manasseh in his left hand towards Yasharal's right hand. And he brought them near unto him. And Yasharal stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, Elohim, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the Elohim which fed me all my life, long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Look what he said, let my what be on them? My name. When you get adopted into, what did we just read about the name of Elohim? If you overcome, what did he say he'll put his name at? In your forehead. So let his name be on it. This is what the reconciliation is about. That's why I say when the gospel is preached, the gospel of reconciliation is preached every time. Day of Atonement is preached every time. See, we looking at it, if your sins are remitted, then the name of Elohim can be placed upon you. Because we already know Joseph came out of prison and he did what? He reigned. And when he reigned, he sat where? At the second seat of Pharaoh. And he was as Pharaoh in the land. And Pharaoh just said, I got more power than you. You rule over everything. So basically, Pharaoh said, I'm going to slide over here. Pharaoh doing the exact same thing of what we talked about, that a king don't get off his throne. That's what I got you for. You go rule. Everybody listen to you according to your word. When they see you, they see me. Only difference is I got more power. That's why I don't see how people can't understand the concept that Yahuwah and Yahusha are the same, but Elohim is above him, because you don't know Elohim's name. And that's why we read those verses in Revelation 3, that you don't know this man's name. And the only way that you're going to know his name is that you're going to have to overcome, and Mashiach will put his name in your heart. And then you can know his name and call him by his name. But until that time, you will not know his name. And the only way you're going to know that name is if you have overcame, if you've been born again, if you have suffered with Mashiach, and you have been adopted. Back to Romans chapter 8. Kira said that would be funny if Joseph told them boys to do something, and they'd be like, you ain't our daddy. Take us our daddy now. Kira is wild. That would definitely be something that a child of this generation would do. Definitely know a lot of kids done hit the stepdaddy with that. You're not my real daddy. I ain't got to listen to you. I wish a child would tell me something like that. I'm going to put that nigga out. Well, I ain't your real daddy then. Well, shoot. You need to go stay at his house then. You ain't going to live here. You disrespectful bastard Jew. Take your mammy with you. That's got to be rough for a man, boy. I seen the story dude say he was with a woman the whole time she was pregnant for the most part with another man's baby. Came to every doctor's visit. shot her some bread, did that there in the third, and when it was time to have the baby daddy popped up, and she said, you know what? He gonna ride on this one. Put Buddy out. Buddy ain't get to see the birth or nothing. I say, well, you the dummy. Because I don't even know how you was even moved to want to actually get with a woman who was carrying another man's seed in her belly at the time. I never understood that one. You know what I'm saying? You a different type of chick to fool with a nigga while you pregnant with another nigga baby. You a hell of a nigga to wife her on up. I guess some of them niggas around my way used to be like, that's that pregnant stuff, boy. That pregnant stuff be good. I'd be like, well then, but still, sir, she's with child. That's not your child. Nigga, that's a low-level woman. If there was the definition of it, that is. He could at least have the common courtesy to drop the load first. Well, I know chicks done move niggas in while they pregnant with another nigga, baby. How you get pregnant and move another nigga in? That's the world we live in, man. And you wonder why these niggas crazy. That's what they seeing every day. Here in Romans chapter 8. Oh, you got to move one more page over, son. This side. 8 and 16. I'll read 15 again. For you have not received the ruach of bondage again to fear. Ain't that what we just read? The true story. But you have received the ruach of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba. The ruach itself bear witness with our ruach that we are the sons of Elohim. See, now that's a different conversation. Doesn't say the ruach of Elohim or the word is going to bear witness with your breath that you born of him. Well, how will it bear record? How would the ruach itself bear witness with your ruach that you are a son of Elohim? How would it do that? Still, son. Stop patting the tables. Do y'all know how it would do that? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? What does the Ruach say that it would bear witness to? To the truth. That's what he told you in John 14, correct? What else did he tell you that the Ruach would bear witness to? It would bear witness to the Son. So if the Son is bearing witness with your spirit, that's how you would be able to manifest that you are son of Elohim, because you would have the testimony within yourself. If you don't have the testimony of the Son within yourself with the obedience, then his Ruach could not bear witness with your Ruach to the son of Elohim. That's just the short version, because we got. He's saying if sons, then heirs. If heirs are Elohim, then joint heirs with Mashiach. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also esteemed together. Now remember, right? He come out of prison to reign. And how did he go into prison? He had to suffer. Why did he have to suffer? Because he was rejected. When he was rejected, Pilate/Samuel did what? Protested solemnly against the rejection. But that rejection was for the purpose of sin, to subdue the shepherd. No, it's just that word is a feminine aspect, but Ruach, you can read it, and when Mashiach say the Ruach, can call it a he. So that's just a language thing, but the breath of Elohim doesn't really have a gender, but if it would be ascribed a gender, it would be masculine. Honestly, everything within Elohim is masculine. Elohim only dealt with the feminine aspect of fulfilling Adam, that the woman comes out of a man. But when it comes to the living Elohim, there are no feminine attributes whatsoever. Because that would make him lesser. Because the woman is the lesser, or weaker vessel. And there's nothing, whatever we would say would be the weakness of Elohim, as he said, Paul wrote, that's stronger than anything any man could ever even fathom in his mind. What are you doing? That's an acceptable answer. Why don't you read it? I said, why don't you? You're a little flustered right now, aren't you? You don't know what to do. You think you're in some type of trouble, don't you? You're not in any trouble. I just asked you why you don't read it.
Because I just don't want to get in trouble by talking like that.
I understand. You're not going to get in trouble. You're okay. It's fine. If you read out loud, you would be okay. None at all. You're okay in that regard. You can relax. That's fine. But if you read out loud, you would be okay. She'd like her seat. You can go back and sit where you was. Romans 8:18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the esteem which shall be revealed in us. For there is earnest expectation of the creature, wait for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. Now let's revisit back to Ecclesiastes chapter 4. So again, for out of prison he come to reign, whereas also he that is born of his kingdom is made poor. That's why if you're born of that kingdom, you have to what? Be subdued and suffer, because you'll be made poor. Before we deal with being made poor, we want to look at Malkuth, which is your word for royalty, royal power, or reign, kingdom, or sovereign power. You got Meme, you got Lamad, you got Kaf, excuse me, U and Tau. That's Meme, that's Lamad, that's Kaf, that's U, and that's Tau. What you say? Meme, Lamad, Kaf, U, and Tau. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with that boy? Oh, he taking snacks now? Oh boy, I know he gonna have a hard one in the daytime. And Gene sleep like he had the bus terminal, waiting on the Greyhound. Santa pretty much got it right? You take that coffee, you take that was subdued. The shepherd was subdued. By chaos was the shepherd subdued, and it secured a covenant which allows him to come out and reign. And I take you back to what's going to go down with the beast and everything with that. That you taking hold of that covenant, not only have you subdued your flesh by that same covenant, subdued the sin that's in your flesh so that you could be secured to the shepherd's covenant, but you very well may be subdued because you took hold to that covenant. Because if you remember in Daniel, those that hate Elohim have done what? They have forsaken said covenant. And when you're talking about forsaken said covenant, see a lot of brews, they're going to look at it as you forsaken being Yasharal. No, you forsaken Elohim. That's why I be tripping people out, be like, oh, you're not Hebrew anymore? Man, that junk ain't about nobody being Hebrew anymore. Man, people, you know what's funny is that people take thinking that because somebody say they don't want to deal with the Hebrew community, that they forsaken Elohim. When a lot of these people who be saying that really like, I want to fool with you niggas. You know what I'm saying? But see, let me tell you something, because this was running across my mind when I seen somebody. I never thought about letting me be part of a Hebrew community because I never cared. You know what I'm saying? And this is the reason why I never cared, because I didn't look at it as no community or let me get down with all the niggas on Facebook or on the internet or Instagram, whatever the case may be. Because it was one thing that I was able to determine out of this text. A vast majority of people who pick up this word are hypocrites, liars, and phonies and unbelievers. So their conduct or behavior is irrelevant to me because I expect it. Most people do not expect it. Most people come into it, they like, oh, we Hebrews, I'm going to get a part of this community, and they think that all these people going to be solid. Most of these niggas do this stuff for show. Well, if it wasn't no internet, I don't even think a lot of these dudes were fooled with no word, but wouldn't nobody be able to see them. Dudes post everything they do. You want every feast picture to be shown. Go live at every feast. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we don't deal with it. Just keep it at a 66. I ain't never read it personally, but I know it's some parts of it that contradict the gospel. So we don't really fool with it. I don't knock nobody who reads it though. He asking about it. But yeah, man, I mean, like at the end of the day, that's it. People want to, if people feeding the home and they want to go, we doing the work of Yahuwah. Dudes want to go live just to talk about word. Ain't nobody watching them. They just on there. Niggas standing out there in the middle of parks, going live. Well, ain't nobody talking to you, boy. And ain't nobody watching. You know what I'm saying? That's it. People be going around looking for these doctrines and whatnot so they can make some YouTube videos talking about it and dissing people. If it wasn't no YouTube, no Facebook, no Instagram, no blog talk radio, most of these boys wouldn't even be dealing with no word. That'd be junkies and drug dealers. And broke niggas on the corner. Talking this and talking that. Because they ain't talking about Yahuwah. How you think if somebody don't want to fool with you, they don't want to fool with Yahuwah? You know when people don't want to fool with Yahuwah, they'll stop talking about it. Most ain't talking about him now, so I'm going to tell you that don't get caught up in the folly. And also, just because people be on folly, don't mean that if somebody say they're a brew, you can't rock with them. Because a lot of people ain't going to want to rock with you because they feel like, okay, you ain't on the same doctrine as me or you don't believe the same as me. And that's fine. Some people just want to fellowship with people and that's it. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But boy, I'm here for one reason and one reason alone. And that's to deliver my soul from death. Now, what other people on, that's their business. Ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Boy, we're going to let our Elohim be esteemed by the preaching of his son. And that's just what it is. Ain't that right, Stanks? Right. Look at, man. We're in there, John chapter 16. We don't prove our point for the night. God willing, we'll be right back Wednesday at our regular time. Yeah. 16 and 24. John 16, 24. Oh, would you like time to find this thing? Well, that's a letter. See, John has letters. A letter is called an epistle. And then you have the book of John. That is the book of John. See, you're right there. 16, 24. What is that? Leah's going to help you. Okay. Son, you don't even know where it's at. You gotta go. You're going towards the back of the book. I'll go to the table of contents. See, cool. Now you're in the Gospel of Mark. Now you're in the Gospel of Luke. There you go. I'll go to the table of contents. And that would be wise. And I'm glad that you have enough sense to know to look at the table of contents. And that makes me feel better about your development. There you go. John chapter 16, verse 24. Hereto you have asked nothing in my name. Ask and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs, but the time come when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, but I shall show you. Matter of fact, just back it up to 20. Say, truly, truly, I say unto you that you shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. You shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. As a woman, when she is travailed, have sorrow because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remember no more the anguish for the joy that a man is born into the world. You know now, therefore, have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man take from you. And that day you shall ask me nothing. Truly, truly, I say unto you, whatsoever you shall ask in Abba in my name, he will give it to you. Hitherto have you asked nothing in my name. Ask, and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs, but the time come when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, and I shall show you plainly of Abba. At that day you shall ask in my name, but I will not say unto you that I will pray Abba for you. For Abba himself loved you because you have loved me, and have believed that I come out from Elohim. I come forth from Abba and come into the world again, and I leave the world and go to Abba. This is the key thing, that he told you that he would have to suffer. He's going to come out of prison to reign. And not only does he have to reign, because he said he has to reign until the last enemy is defeated, and that enemy is death. But that man is going to reign and he's going to rule. When he said that he come up out of that prison to reign, he's sitting at the right hand, and then he coming back to do what? Get the saints, and they're going to reign 1,000 years. I thought, she must not be tired. She usually don't fight the bed like that. Huh? Oh, she want to stay up here. Yes. Why was he in prison?
Yes.
Oh, that prison was the grave. See, prison in the word sometimes is figuratively used for the grave. Do you know what a grave is?
No.
A grave is where you put a dead body. Do you know what a dead body is?
A dead person.
Oh, you've never seen one? Well, praise the Lord for that. Do you know what it means to die?
No.
You know how you're breathing right now?
Yes. Yeah, I know.
When you die, you don't breathe anymore.
That's why we don't play dead.
No, you don't want to play dead. You know what else happens when you die?
No.
You stop thinking. So you'll have no more thoughts.
You stop dreaming.
No more dreams, no more nothing. Oh, no, you ain't gonna need no food. Yes, that's what the word says. Your name is going to fade away, and you will no longer be remembered. Only in heaven will you be remembered.
Nobody else.
Prayerfully, your name will be remembered for good. See, the Lord died, but you know what happened after he died? He resurrected from the dead. Do you know what that means, to resurrect from the dead?
Judge.
Not to get judged, but that's not a bad answer.
I don't know what that is. I don't know.
So you know what happens? No, I just told you what happens when you're dead.
You get buried in the ground.
That is correct. But when you're dead, what are the things that you don't have?
No money, no food.
No.
No, nothing. No.
What do you need to be alive?
Air.
So when you get resurrected from the dead, he puts air or his spirit back in you, and you come back alive.
No spirit.
So Yahusha was dead, but then he came back alive. So when you come back alive, when you believe in him and you obey him, if you die, then you're not actually dead. You will be made alive in him, and you'll live forever. That's why I tell you, you need to listen.
What about if you get so old?
If you believe in him and obey, you'll live forever. That's why I tell you to listen. Yes, but you're not going to live forever if you don't listen. You have to follow instructions. Oh, yeah. It's clicking for you now. It's making sense. It can be too late to listen, because if you don't listen to Yahuwah after a while, he just says, you know what? I'm not fooling with you anymore. Or basically, let me put it in terms that you can understand. He's just not going to be your friend. Yahuwah doesn't like people who don't listen. But see, he's a merciful God, so he'll give you space, but he's just not going to let you just not listen and think that that's cool. But theoretically, it is never too late to listen. It's not too late for you to listen now. You ought to listen. And maybe you won't be scrubbing floors and standing in corners. You get to play like a normal child.
If I don't listen, play around if I have to do something and I pass for ever come back alive, I'll go to hell.
Yes, you won't. If you don't listen, you're not going to come back alive. And yes, you
I didn't get another chance.
Nope, you only get one shot to get this right, son.
What's the worst? Dying too early, like.
Nobody dies too early, son. You die when you're supposed to.
No, somebody needs to not to take care of themselves. Like if you don't take care of yourself, like if you eat like sugar, crabs, and stuff,
Yes, it can be bad for your health.
and you'll die.
Yes, but everybody's going to die.
So you could still
When you die, your skin is going to go away, and worms and maggots are going to eat your flesh, and there'll be nothing left but bones. Because dust is where you came from, and dust you shall return.
I like that.
Well, return back to dust when you die. Because Adam was made from the dust. I feel you on that, little bro. I feel you on that. Let's finish this out of here so we can be finished. So you can ask all the questions you want. His disciples said unto him, Lo, now you speak plainly and speak no proverbs. Now we are sure that you know all things and need not that any man should ask of you. By this we believe that you come from Elohim. Yahushua answered, Do you now believe? Behold, the hour come, yea, is now come, that you shall be scattered every man to his own and shall leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because Abba is with me. These things have I spoken unto you, that in me you might have shalom. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. See, he overcame the world by being rejected of the world in order to be subdued, in order that you might be reconciled, so that you could be adopted and that you could be his. So hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. We appreciate y'all time this evening and bless y'all at the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. Prayerfully, you got some good understanding out of that. That's another example of how Yahuwah and Yahushua one and the same. Seeing that how Yahuwah was rejected for being king over Yasharal, the same that Yahushua was rejected. But in the midst of that rejection, there was suffering. And in the midst of that suffering was reconciliation. In the midst of that reconciliation was adoption. And in that adoption is everlasting salvation. So again, I bless y'all at the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back on that Wednesday at the regular time, 7:30. Make it do what it do. And Yahuwah willing, till the next time.
Hi, Mom.